All right, guys. Today we got Dave DeFore and we got Esh the Kid. And today we will be tier listing some of the greatest San Antonio Spur big men ever. We got four tiers. But the one big rule here is that each of these players will be tiered solely based on their Spurs stats. The rest of their career does not count for anything. That being said, the first player that you guys have to tier is arguably the greatest San Antonio Spur big man of all time. He played five
Okay.
seasons for them. He averaged 8.3 points per game, 0.6 blocks, a total of 5.3 rebounds per game. Absolute legend, Thiago Splitter.
While I agree he holds some legendary status because that was a formative 5 years. If you're a Spurs fan, especially, that's a great 5-year run of beautiful basketball. You know, he won a title. He was involved in some, the end of kind of an era. So obviously he's going to live like at a certain level in the hearts of Spurs fans. But, you just dropped the statistics. Defensively, he was okay, right? Like, I mean, Tim Duncan was out there and really made him look better than he was. I distinctly remember when Splitter would play without Duncan and how the defense kind of would fall apart. I would probably put him in the starter category, even though I have the emotional attachment to Thiago Splitter. You could convince me that the emotional part gets him to the All-Star because, Ash, I know like how fandom can be, and fans will have their favorites, and a guy like, Big Baby Davis, for instance, could get his jersey retired by the Boston Celtics or something. So, which, not a thing, but I can understand. So maybe you could convince me that he's in that second category, but I think
the only way he would get into the All-Star if you just hold it on to that time that he blocked LeBron. I think that would be the one thing that excelled him in there. But I'm with you. I think he's just in the starter category, just because Sam he read out the stats, not phenomenal, big impact on the team. He was a good team guy, but I don't know about All-Star status. So starter, I'm with you on that.
Again, though, in his defense, that team, that run, they didn't have a lot of statistical accumulators.
True.
Tim Duncan was a double-double guy, but like if you go back and you look at the assist numbers, I mean, Tony Parker's career as a point guard, he didn't really have a lot of assists when you compare him to some of the other greats that we consider point guards. The 8+ assists, double-digit assist seasons. So
part of the system.
Part of that system. Part of that is he didn't play a lot. That's the other thing secretly here that Sam sort of leaves out. How many minutes per game, Sam?
He averaged 19.8 minutes per game with the Spurs.
Yeah, impossible to be in the All-Star or generational, and especially because he didn't have any sort of like signature. This is not, we're gonna get to one of the all-time great Spurs, who's maybe more great for how he played than necessarily the stats that he accumulated.
Well, okay. So you guys are putting him as a starter.
Yeah, I put him in that third tier. Yeah.
Okay, so the next player on the list might arguably, statistically, be the worst player on this list. And that's because he has no stats. It's Victor Wembanyama. Where are we putting him?
Well, I think it's this one's very easy, but Ash, I'll let you go first.
He's got to be generational already, right? I know we're right here. The NBA season just started last night. We're brand new in this season, but from what we've seen in the preseason, from what we've seen before he even got drafted in the NBA, this guy's going to be a generational talent. He's about to change the whole culture over there in San Antonio land. Not even to say that they just are terrible, but everything that Wemby is about to do for those guys, bringing them back into relevancy, generational talent. That's what I say.
100%. But the most important reason to call him a generational talent here is so that we didn't not call him that. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back to this video in a year, 5 years, and be the guy who was like, oh, no. We don't know. No, I think we know. And as long as everything continues to play out in the way it has, I mean, we watched this guy get better just over the course of the preseason. Safe to say, generational. I mean, that one's easy.
See, I have to throw out a question for you guys then. So if we're basing this just on their legacy as a San Antonio Spur, there is a chance that he doesn't play his whole career for the Spurs. And so does that put him down to an all-star?
Wemby mania is running wild right now. I mean, he's already got murals in San Antonio. So I just think that, look, we know he's going to be there the first 10 years of his career. That's long enough time for a guy who I think like his floor is like 10-time all-star. His floor really might be MVP candidate. That's insane to say. But when you have a guy who's got the size he's got, has the physical gifts he has the very clear basketball IQ, the extremely high defensive floor where there's a lot of people, myself included, that thinks he's going to have a good shot at Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie. I think over the course of those first 10 years, he's going to be a Spurs legend for sure, even if he left.
Yeah, you don't have to count tenure for greatest of all time in a certain team. Like, look at what Kawhi Leonard did, for example, going to the Raptors, winning a championship, and people love Kawhi. He was there for one season, right?
Best Raptor ever.
Exactly, right? Now,
but he's not getting his number in the Raptors, you know? Like,
who is it?
Kawhi. Not for the Raptors.
I bet he will at one point.
Really?
I'd put money on it.
They don't have enough guys with numbers to retire.
Exactly. So. That's exactly right. They're going to do DeMar, they'll do Kyle Lowry, and then Kawhi Leonard will be right there with Kyle Lowry. 100%.
That's crazy.
100%.
Okay, so generational Wemby. The third player I have for you guys, he only played 2 seasons for the Spurs. He averaged 5.6 points per game. He averaged a total of 17.1 rebounds per game. You guys have any idea who this might be?
Dennis Rodman.
It is Dennis Rodman.
And I mean, look, he in and of himself was a generational talent, but I think for the Spurs, you call him an all-star. I mean, almost 18 rebounds a game. Remember, this guy was 6'8" back in the day where you actually had, true power forwards in the sense of the term. He was guarding multiple positions, more of a wing as far as build goes, and was definitely a wing earlier in his career with the Pistons. But by the time he was in San Antonio, this was right before he got traded to the Bulls. So everything that we remember for real about Dennis Rodman's career, I think happened with the Bulls, but this was the start of it. Dyeing the hair, being insane about getting every single rebound you possibly could. And I think for that reason, you put him all-star. He's not generational. He wasn't there long enough, but definitely all-star because those seasons were memorable.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, even though he had the numbers that Sam just reminded us of, he didn't have like the greatest time in San Antonio, right? Like,
yeah, no, I mean, it didn't exactly fit in with what was going on there, but that's life sometimes in the NBA. He got along that, everywhere, but no.
Yeah, we didn't have like the greatest success with the San Antonio Spurs. And for the reasons of this list, do you think he should be an all-star? You think he should be bumped down to starter because of that? Like,
only 2 seasons. Only 2 seasons.
Just 2 seasons.
18 rebounds a game, man. Like, I mean, that
is 18 rebounds a game.
18 rebounds a game. That's enough for me.
Does that speak on him, or does that speak on the fact that his team was not making shots? Somebody wasn't making shots.
Maybe that's part of it. Look, you can talk me down to starter very easily. 2 years, not very long. And we did just have Tiago Splitter there. But the thing is that those 2 years, they just stand out a lot.
Okay.
So I'll go down to starter. I'm with you. I think
starter.
I think starter, yeah.
Okay, starter.
Talk me off.
I'm assuming you're putting him above Tiago Splitter, though, on the starter tier.
I would.
I don't know.
I would.
Splitter won a championship.
He has a ring.
Splitter, listen, you could have had replacement. And again, I'm a big fan of Tiago Splitter, but you could have had replacement center X as long as he was a ball mover and could play and could rebound.
Splitter blocked LeBron. That's what I'm gonna say every time.
Rodman never blocked LeBron.
Yeah,
he never did it. Yeah,
Christian Brown blocked LeBron last night. So that's a Spurs legend.
Hey, yeah, when we get to the Nuggets list, Chris Brown, he's going to be in that generational tier.
There you go.
So are you guys deciding to put him above
Starter.
or below Splitter?
We have to. Oh, we're doing.
You have to
tiers
decide.
within
Yeah.
tiers.
Nah. If we're seriously deciding, we can put Rodman above Splitter.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But Splitter does have a ring though, so I don't know.
That's true.
That's for everybody else to debate.
That's true.
Our third player or fourth player I have for you guys played 5 seasons for the San Antonio Spurs. He averaged 8.8 points per game, averaged 1.4 blocks per game, and averaged a total of 7.3 rebounds per game, while also putting up 2.1 assists per game. Jakob Poeltl.
I think starter. Starter.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't on any winners. He did play in some playoff series. He's a good defensive center, was an underrated pick and roll center, especially there. Him and Derek White were a hell of a combo in that one team with DeMar. I think starter is totally fine. I mean, he played there 5 years. That's long enough. Did they make a tribute video for Jakob Poeltl? Probably. Probably.
Okay, I'll go starter. I was leaning kind of toward bench, to be honest with you, but
wow, you're harsh. 5 seasons is a long time. That's a long time.
When you think of Poeltl, who you think of first? You thinking the Spurs? You thinking the Raptors?
I think it's Spurs, but you know, yeah. I mean, I covered him there.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's
a little bit biased, right? You know,
I was at home watching, so it's a little different. But yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Starter. There's no complaints here.
Where is he in the starter tier?
He's definitely below Splitter and Rodman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, Rodman, a lot of the Rodman thing is zeitgeist. It's about Dennis Rodman being Dennis Rodman.
Cool. Okay, the next guy I have for you guys, a personal favorite of mine. Personal favorite. With the Spurs, though, I don't know, but personal favorite of mine. He averaged 19.5 points per game with them. He played 6 seasons for them, played a total of 376 games for them, averaged 1.3 blocks per game, averaged 8 rebounds per game, and also put up 2 assists per game. LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah. I put him in the all-star category there. You know, he was instrumental in keeping them in playoff contention in the post-Duncan years, especially. So, yeah, I mean, he was a very good player there for a while until he just got old, you know.
That's exactly right. I agree with that 100%. He coming over, they were trying to usher him in to, you know, be a little bit of a replacement, kind of like what Dave was saying, be a little somebody that could help Duncan right at the end there and Kawhi when he was there. Yeah, all-star.
Hey, he was a Blazer for life before Damian Lillard was a Blazer for life. So
that's exactly right.
Next person, basketball legend. Spurs legend, not so much, but basketball legend. He averaged 10 points per game, averaged 2.6 assists per game. Wow, he's a passer. I did not know that. He averaged 7.4 rebounds per game for them. Pau Gasol.
How many blocked shots, though? Because
block shots, he averaged 1 block per game.
Yeah.
In a total of 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
3 seasons. Okay. So how many seasons? Yeah. I'd say all-star tier for Pau Gasol. Like you said, it's listen, I know we're not supposed to be taking anything into account, but it's still Pau Gasol.
It's Pau Gasol. No, I have him I think starter.
Starter?
Yeah, for the Spurs. Yeah, this was the tail end of his career. It was he was
better than his Bulls years when he was there, right?
No, because the blocks fell off from his Bull years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that he was just like he was worse. This was the twilight of a great career, but it wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't very good. I just was trying to be nice. I've been harsh on these other ones, so I guess here we go. But Pau Gasol, soft spot in the heart. I think that's what it is. Starter.
Where does he land? Where does he land among the starters? You got Rodman, Splitter, and Jakob Poeltl.
I put him below Poeltl.
So okay, all right.
Just based on the Spurs tenure, yeah.
Next person, I'm just gonna make this quick because he only played one season for them. 5.1 points per game. That's pretty much it. Dwayne Dedman.
Yeah,
Bench.
bench. Yeah, that's not even a
Bench.
Yeah, we probably could have just skipped that one.
All right, next one. Some have compared him to Victor Wembanyama, and by some, I think it's just me. But another 7'4" big man, Boban Marjanovic.
Generational.
Hey, I will tell you this. I will say this. You're not going to put him in the generational category, but I think you want to put him in the all-star category. And it's because on a per minute basis, this guy is one of the greatest, most efficient and productive players in NBA history. And he was doing it with the Spurs at a level that I don't even think he touched after he left. His minutes were sparse and few, but he produced with an efficiency, a Nikola Jokic like efficiency on extremely low volume. So for that, I'd put him all-star.
All that stuff that you're saying is great, and it's like it sounds really good, but what are the stats actually? What did he actually do?
Give me those per 36 minutes stats.
No. I don't need the per 36. I need the real actual stats. Not
He,
the per 36.
He averaged 5.5 points per game in 9.4 minutes per game, which is
See,
pretty good. It's pretty good.
No, yes, the per 36, like Dave was saying, perfect, right? Like he's
shooting percentage.
Incredible. Yeah, the shooting percentage got to be like 70%, to be honest with you. It's got to be something like that.
Dave, you're not going to like this one. He shot 60%.
I'm just going to say that I don't know if you can make it into the all-star category if what you did for your team, like for the Spurs, where did it lead them into the playoffs? Where did it lead them to a championship? Like, did it do any of those things? Did it really, really affect Spurs culture? Boban was a huge fan favorite, and he still is a fan favorite, right? But
hey, 21 points, 14 rebounds per 36 minutes.
But he's only playing 9. But he's only playing 9. That's not real.
Hey, some would argue though, without Boban, there is no Wembanyama.
Who would argue that?
Yeah, Sam.
Who would argue that? Yeah, hold on, Sam. No.
I just think the Spurs saw something in a 7'4" big man. They're like, oh, maybe we take the chance on Vic.
So you're saying he's the prototype to Wemby?
Yeah, no. He was like the rough draft. Like you see that and you're like, oh, we know what someone can be. And then they saw Wembanyama and they're like, all right, maybe he could be a Boban.
No. None are saying that, Sam.
I'm saying
just for that, I'm about to bump him all the way down the bench. You keep talking like that. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
I just think Boban undefeated. Starter. There's gonna be a lot of starters on this list.
I think he's a starter.
It's because of it's the zeitgeist. It's more than just what they did on the court.
Okay, look, if you want to say that, I'll give him all-star just because once again, Boban is like universally loved.
Hey, he was generational in the 9 minutes that he played.
Exactly. So okay, just for that statement, he's all-star. Put him in there. Put him in a tier.
All-star?
Put him in there.
We okay with all-star?
Dude, you're gonna get a lot of random all-stars that don't have good stats. Because I mean,
throw them in.
I like a lot of the Spurs.
We are putting someone in the all-star category who only started 4 games for the Spurs.
Doesn't matter. He changed the culture there.
All right,
put him in. Hang
you
him
talk
above
me
or
into
below
it.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Put him at the top.
Below.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a joke. I'm joking.
Yeah. All right. The next player is not jokingly, but genuinely, quite possibly could be Mr. Spur. We have Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan, generational.
Yeah, generational. Top of the list. And the odds of Victor Wembanyama having a better career than Tim Duncan are extremely low. Because Tim Duncan is one of the 5, 6, or 7 greatest players ever in NBA history. When you just look at his accomplishments throughout his career, and if you throw in his college career and get into just basketball in general, he's one of the most decorated players ever. He's won at every single level, won for a very long time in the NBA too, right? This is like stuff that we just don't see happen. It's similar, like LeBron, right? He won titles in the middle of his career, won this one in 2020, a couple years ago. But the consistency that Tim Duncan had, I mean, obviously accumulated stats, but he also won. I mean, they always made the playoffs. They won 50 games, like I don't know how many years in a row. This is a guy, again, one of the 5, 6, or 7 best players ever to ever play. And it gets down to personal preference on where you rank him, really. But the odds of Victor surpassing that are slim. So I think the greatest Spur ever, Tim Duncan, because he'd be the greatest. Yeah. I mean, he's like literally like the greatest player ever, maybe. You could make an argument.
I have nothing else to add. He said every single thing that you can say about Tim Duncan. So
sorry, I didn't mean to eat up all the oxygen there, but I've been thinking about Tim Duncan for a long time.
Timmy gets him hot, so let him talk all you want to about Timmy.
I mean, he's like an accountant on a basketball court, but you could also like, I mean, he literally like, there's not much happening there until, he got called for a foul, like emotionally, but just a killer, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're following that up with David Robinson.
David Robinson, I think, is also generational, right? Like he ushered in that entire era for Spurs. Him and Pop, they go on win championships, and then what else can you say about David Robinson? You know what I'm saying? Like him being a mentor to Timmy, and then Timmy taking the reins and then running with it for the next 19 years after that. So there's not really much else you can say about it either. He's generational. There's no argument for it.
I mean, that Twin Towers that they had, number one, it allowed Tim Duncan to really flourish, but it extended David Robinson's career quite a bit, made him a better player down the stretch run of his career. I remember David Robinson because I'm watching basketball for a really long time. So I remember those David Robinson, Sean Elliott teams, with like Avery Johnson as the point guard. And David Robinson's ability, I mean, he could score like crazy. He had that insane scoring title race with Olajuwon, his mid-range jumper back when that was a thing for centers that you had to have. It was him, Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing that were always so consistent from the elbow. But the thing I remember was there weren't a lot of centers who were just absolutely jacked like David Robinson. And when he came into the league, like, I mean, he's just like ripped. He's got like guns. He's not just tall. And I think his physicality and the way that he played, I mean, I remember distinctly, wow, this is different. Not only is this guy quick and fast, but he's also strong. And it was, back then the styles were so different between players. It's kind of like what we're getting into now with the bigs, where we've gone away from, just rim running and rim protecting. And now you have this, there's a variety pack of big men in the NBA. We've kind of come full circle again, where you have players that play differently. And I think it kind of throws back to that time for David Robinson, but man, he was just so different than other centers. I mean, I remember that distinctly. So yeah, generational. But put him third behind Victor Wembanyama, because
behind that was what I was wanting to ask you.
I think look
behind Victor,
because I think Victor Wembanyama, he's a ceilingless player. Right.
Should we be giving respect to David Robinson and Timmy though, just because they've
David
already
Robinson's
done it?
One of the 75 best players ever, right? Like I don't know where he would rank on a list. He's probably, I mean, it's top 50. Is Victor Wembanyama's, what's his lowest outcome? Is it top 25? I mean, obviously this all depends on health and we can talk in circles, but he's got every
if he runs on the court tomorrow and trips over the line and can't play, then all this is for nothing, right? So that's really tough, man. I feel like we gotta, just out of respect, today, before Wemby plays
think about
his first
the future,
game.
man. Think about the future. You're gonna come back to this video in 10 years, and it's gonna be like, man, I can't believe that guy said Victor Wembanyama wasn't gonna be better than David Robinson.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to be looking like a dummy. I don't want to be looking like a dummy. Go ahead and put.
I'd rather look like a dummy up front than in retrospect. Right?
That's right.
Cool. The next player is also a personal favorite of mine. He's actually one of my favorite players to watch play. I don't know how many people would say that, but I think he's fun. It is the Red Rocket, the Red Mamba, Matt Bonner.
Mr. New Balance.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a very good player for them for a while, but he was a bit player. You know, he come in, we got to drop a play for a three. Need you to be automatic. I don't know. I mean, again, when you get into the zeitgeist stuff, and especially Spurs fans, I think Matt Bonner's probably in that starter category, that third tier.
Yeah. If it was 2K10, 2K11, I'd say he was generational because he could never miss on the game.
Never miss.
But never miss on the game. You just pressed the button, it was going in. It didn't matter how you timed it. But I agree with you, Dave. I think starter just because the impact San Antonio players and what he did out there. And everybody loves him. Everybody loved him, and everybody still loves him. So
he shot 46% from three one year.
Yeah.
The boy was
automatic.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it helps when your job is to, park it in the corner, let the offense do its thing, catch and be ready to shoot, right? But that catch and be ready to shoot part has tripped up way better players than Matt Bonner in their career, and none of them are shooting 46%. So, I think I'd take Matt Bonner over a lot of guys.
Where is he in the starter tier? You have Rodman, Thiago Splitter, Jakob Poeltl, Pau Gasol. Where is he?
I put him probably above Pau.
You think he should go above Poeltl or no?
No, probably not.
No.
Poeltl was a pretty good player.
Just more productive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Next player, Ash. I think this is your guy, Boris Diaw.
No, that's my guy.
Oh, you guys both have the same guy.
Oh yeah, love Boris Diaw. But yeah, I think he just said that because he forgot him off the list, Dave. He sent the list. There was no Boris Diaw.
Boris Diaw was on my list.
It was edited.
Boris Diaw is generational. I mean, he's at least an all-star. He's at least an all-star. But look, anybody who can walk into the combine in flip-flops and max out the vert, I would say untapped potential until he got to San Antonio. He also, let's not forget, he had a fat clause put in his contract. Now that's generational, man. Like, you gotta because he was so good, even out of shape, but they wanted him in shape. I'll never forget that the playoffs, that when they beat Miami, back-to-back years, he was the best defender on LeBron James that we had seen in that entire run for LeBron. All those finals runs. I thought Boris Diaw did a better job, than Andre Iguodala did for the Warriors guarding LeBron. So that gets lost quite a bit when people talk about Boris Diaw, is that he was surprisingly a good defender on those Spurs teams.
Yeah. Very instrumental to the Spurs, especially winning that championship 14. And Boris Diaw too, he's like the prototype of what everybody wants in the NBA right now. Like that four who could handle, he could pass, he could hit the shot. Like he did everything. And super instrumental for the Spurs. Splitter goes to the bench. Boris Diaw was coming right in and huge. Everything he did. Defense. He's like Draymond before Draymond even.
Well, Boris Diaw walked so Kyle Anderson could crawl, right? Like that's what this was. I mean, he was he was the proto slow-mo. I wouldn't say like Draymond Green, but he was the proto slow-mo.
It was a little bit of Draymond-esque is what I mean. Just because he was switching a little bit. He's playing defense. He was guarding, like you said, he was playing LeBron well, and he was handling. Like you can see him, I wouldn't call it a fast break per se, but he grabbed the ball off the rim. He's pushing, getting the ball up the floor, able to
grab and go, also dangerous as a trailer. So the hit-ahead pass, he also could be the last guy up the court and get that dead-on top of the key three.
That's exactly
right. Again, man, he was also part of what I think It's the greatest basketball team ever put together, and that was the 2014 Spurs.
Yeah.
And I think for a part of that, you at least put him in All-Star.
All-Star.
I lean generational because he had an espresso maker in his locker. Work-life balance king, man.
Is he? You have LaMarcus Aldridge and Boban in All-Star. Where is he among those two?
I'd put him above both.
I agree with that. Got a ring, and like I said, instrumental to the ring. So
yeah,
I mean,
even more so than we were talking with Splitter before.
Sitting in the starter tier.
No. He was more instrumental than Splitter. That's what I was saying. He's more instrumental to that team than Splitter was.
Agreed.
Next player. I don't know how much you guys will have to say about him, but maybe you guys will talk a lot about him. DeJuan Blair.
The man with no ACLs. Probably bench.
Yeah.
Not really a good player. And obviously, he's undersized and oversized at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And had no knees. So, but he did okay there for a little bit.
My man didn't have no knees. How is he going to sit on the bench? Yeah, he's on the bench. What did he do? What does his numbers look like?
He averaged more points per game than Boris Diaw for the Spurs.
Points are
how many seasons?
He played 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
Boris Diaw played 5. So you have one guy on the bench and one guy generational.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes.
It's all about impact.
Okay. Basketball is art.
This next guy played 2 seasons for the Spurs, averaged 5.6 points per game, averaged a total of 5.7 rebounds per game. Antonio McDyess.
Yeah, post Nuggets, McDyess, no dice from me. I'd put him on the bench.
Bench.
Yeah.
I agree. No argument here.
Cool. We have an old guy coming up next.
Will Purdue.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right, it's Will Purdue.
Yeah, Will Purdue. Bulls legend, Will Purdue. He didn't do anything there. You put him on the bench. He's wasn't really a very good player. This was back when, I like to say now the NBA is pretty much a no bums league. Well, the old NBA had a lot of bums. And if you were 7 feet tall, you could get a job in the NBA. Seemed like pretty easy. And Will Purdue was not a bad player, but he was not the level of these other guys. He was no Boban Marjanovic.
You're right.
Wait, isn't it still true that 30% of everyone in the world who's 7 foot or taller end up in the NBA?
I don't know if it's true anymore. There's more 7-footers now than there used to be because there's a lot more people. But there's not that many 7-footers, right? So it's a little bit of a, if you're going to be 7 feet tall, someone's putting a basketball in your hand.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do with your life?
Money. Well, there's so much money now.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, you can't be flying coach. Not if you're 7 feet tall. You better be good at basketball.
Yeah.
The last guy I have for you guys for this tier list is, I think, a fan favorite among current fans of the Spurs. Just got his bag. Zach Collins.
I'm gonna say bench.
I'm gonna say bench. I'm gonna say bench. That remains to be seen how it goes. He did just get a 2-year contract, but the Spurs have a lot of money, so it didn't matter right now. I'm gonna say bench. I'm gonna say bench.
Well, I mean, was he really even?
I'm not expecting much from Zach Collins. I've done this before. I'm hoping that he's healthy, and if he's healthy, maybe he turns into a productive guy. And he's been pretty good in the preseason, but it's too early. I think he's on the bench.
So I remember everybody being really excited about him when he was with the Blazers, and then the injuries and stuff like that happened. But now, what has he done? What is he doing? He got a bag. That's nice. I'm happy for him. But
you guys have an old Pau Gasol ahead of Zach Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read you your final tier list rankings, and let me know if you guys want to change anything.
Okay.
In generational, you have in order Tim Duncan, Wemby, and then the Admiral. All-Stars, we have Boris Diaw, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Boban. In the starter tier, we have Dennis Rodman, Thiago Splitter, Jakob Pertl, Matt Bonner, and Pau Gasol. And then on your bench, you have Dwayne Dedman, DeJuan Blair, Antonio McDyess, Will Perdue, and now Zach Collins. Anything you guys want to switch up?
I don't know. It feels good to me, Ash. How about you?
I'm cool with it, man. I think we did a good job.
I think that's pretty good. Look, man. Spurs fans are gonna maybe love this. I think.
Oh, you guys have Zach Collins on the bench. They're not gonna love it.
Do you think Spurs fans really love Zach Collins like that?
I think some of them do.
Not more than any of the other people that we got in any of the other tiers. There's no way.
Okay. Well, okay. Thanks,
Here,
guys.
how about you make a new tiers right now instead of bench, right? Put Zach Collins at the scorers table. He's checking in.
Oh, so he's rotation. He's rotation.
Yeah. He's coming in the rotation. That way everybody's happy.
So he's in his own tier.
He's in his own tier, right in the middle of bench and starter. He's walking from the bench to the scorers table.
Honestly, guys, I don't even know how Zach Collins made this.